Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. And if it's your first time here, glad to have you. We have here my wife's 2018 Dodge Journey, and today we will be doing the rear brakes on it. We're going to replace the rotors, the pads, and the calipers. So let's get into it. I lifted it up high enough just to get the wheels up off the ground. And as you can see, then I put it on jack stands. So as you guys can probably imagine, it's going to be a little difficult to show you everything I'm doing in thorough detail because it's such cram quarters under here, but I'll show you what I'm starting with. So we got the parking brake cable right here, and there is a bolt that holds that bracket on. I'm going to start by taking that off because we got to get this parking brake cable off of this bracket so that it can connect to the new bracket on the new caliper. And then I'm going to remove the caliper itself, which there is a bolt here, and tilt down this way so I can show you where it's at. Right there is the other bolt. And then we got here the banjo bolt, which is for the brake line. Then we'll remove that so we can get the caliper right off. So got that off. I can start to pull it out, but I think we're gonna have to pull the caliper off before I can actually get it to come all the way out, because there just isn't enough flex in this cable to get it to actually pop out of that hole. So we'll pull those other bolts off first. Might be a little rusted on there, so you might have to persuade it to come off just a little bit here. Okay, so we already got, I don't know if you guys can see this, our park and brake cable already came free here. So that's out. Before I get this all the way off though, I want to take that banjo bolt out to get our flexible brake line off before there gets to be too much tension on it. You'll want a set of these for pinching off the brake line. It just it pinches off the flexible brake line so that you're not losing all your brake fluid and introducing a whole bunch of air into the system that you'll have to bleed out later, which you'll have to bleed the brakes anyways, but you don't want to bleed the system completely dry. You want to go ahead and grab your drain pan. Got it right below here because you're going to lose a little brake fluid when you crack this banjo bolt open. I wanted to show the difference here between the old pads and the new pads. So as you can see here, it's pretty chewed up on the edges and it's just in kind of rough shape. I'll show the difference here in the thickness here. You can see the actual pad here, right there, right here, quite a bit different. You know, I'm sure these old pads, they had a little life left in them. Same with, you know, do I have to replace the disc here? No, I'm sure not. But I guess I kind of feel like when it comes to doing the brakes, it's not somewhere that you want to cheap out. You know, my family rides in this car, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. A little extra money spent now is worth it in the long run. Like I said, it's more important to make the car stop than it is to make it go. Why cheap out? Just get all new parts. That way that you know they're working right, as they should. Guys, my microphone died, so I almost have to try and speak up here. But now we can start reassembling. So I got all these little clips. These are what hold the brake pads into the caliper, and they kind of go in like right in here and right down in here, if I could get the focus. So I'm going to install those clips and then we'll put the pads in. So I've got 3 of them in already. You can see there, there, and there. I'll try and do this one one-handed. I'll show you there's nothing to it. And just like that. It's actually a lot simpler than that if you're... It's actually a lot simpler to put in than that if you're not struggling doing it one-handed. So as you can see, I got the new pads in now. Takes a little bit of finagling to get them in with the clips. And as far as the orientation, there is a right and a wrong way to put them in. Just make sure you got them put in the right way. A lot of times they do come with like a diagram in the box, or you could also compare them to the old ones, because in theory, the old ones should have been put in the right way, providing whoever did it last did it the right way. But now we can throw this thing onto the disc. Go until they're snug. Now I'm going to torque these down. Do the bottom one. So many people don't bother torquing down nuts and bolts that they should be torquing down. I don't like to play around like that. I wasn't gifted with calibrated hands. Apparently some people think they were. But look up your torque specs. You can find them online, or like I like to find myself a repair manual. There's always the torque specs in here. And just torque down your nuts and bolts and hardware as you should, guys. So now we got to rehook our cable back up to the bracket here. I'm going to try and do it without taking the bracket off. I should be able push it up. I don't know if you can see from my hand. My hand's probably in the way here. Okay. I got to hook back up. You can see that. Get a closer look here. You see there's this little focus. There's this little spring here. I disconnected the spring from the one side to make it easier to pull on it. And then I just rocked this bracket back while flexing the cable a little bit to get it hooked on there. That way I didn't have to take that bolt out again. I probably didn't have to on the old one. I just wanted to make it a little easier for the disassembly, but for the reassembly, there really was no need to. Now before I reassembled the brake line here with the new banjo bolt, I want to give this a good hosing with some brake cleaner. Make sure it's clean, any old rust and stuff off of it. Just to make sure it's clean. So now we can take the new banjo bolt out. Oop, almost dropped it. And you'll see it comes with 2 new copper washers to put on either side of the block for your brake line. So this I did not even snug because it is such a low torque setting for this banjo bolt. And that is because of the copper washers. So you absolutely want to torque this or you'll screw up those copper washers in a hurry. And right there's our torque setting. And now that we got that torqued up, we can take our players back off of our brake line here. Just like so. And this side is done, except for bleeding it, which we will bleed it after we do the other side. So guys, I'm going to hop on doing the second side, and I ain't going to bother filming it because it's the same as this side. Not going to bore you with that. We'll resume filming when we go to bleed our calipers, which through the power of editing should be momentarily. Well, now we're to the part where we can start bleeding the brakes, so I got to pop the hood and add some brake fluid to the master cylinder. So here's our master cylinder, guys. Pull the cap off. Put the funnel in there to make it easier to pour. I'm just going to top her off because we're going to be losing a lot of brake fluid when we go to bleed the system. There, she's pretty full right now. And as we're bleeding it, we'll continue to refill this master cylinder. So guys, right here is our bleeder screw, and they have these little rubber protector cap on them to keep dirt and crap from getting down in there. So you want to take that off. And I don't have a vacuum bleeder, so I got this here, the little manual bleeder with the magnet where you can stick her right to the side of the pad there, and then you stick it into the bleeder like so, and then someone has to pump my brakes for me and hold them while I crack the bleeder valve open and closed to get all the air out. Okay guys, I forgot to start the camera for that first one. So go ahead and pump the brakes and let me know when you're holding them.
Mom.
Okay, so now we're going to crack our bleeder open. You know, if the camera's catching the air bubbles coming out, let it go a little bit, and I close the bleeder again. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. Go ahead and pump them. And I have him pump them about 3 times. And then he holds them.
Hold it.
Okay. And we'll crack the bleeder again. And you got more air bubbles coming out. And we're just going to now close it again. And we're just going to continue to do this until we got all the air out. Okay, guys, so I'm going to continue bleeding these. I'm not going to film the whole thing because it's just long and boring of repeat and rinse and repeat here of what you just seen. There is, however, a bleeding sequence, and I got my manual here to tell me what the sequence is. It's this one, then the front passenger side, then the rear passenger side, then the front driver's side. And you're probably thinking, since I only did the rear calipers, I should only have to bleed those ones. And I don't know, maybe that is the case, but I like to do all 4, even if I change just 2 of them, just to make sure there is no air in the system whatsoever. It certainly doesn't hurt, and it gets more fresh fluid into the system anyways. That's just my way of doing it. Not saying that's right or wrong. It's just my preference. And by the way, that bleeding sequence I just said is specific to this vehicle. If you want to know the bleeding sequence of the vehicle you're doing, you'll have to look it up, because each vehicle, I'm sure, has its own unique bleeding sequence. So, okay, guys, so I got the whole system bled now, and I am glad that I do the procedure of all 4 wheels like it says to do, because I actually did get some air out of the front ones, which I didn't expect to happen, but it did, and it was well worth doing. So as I'm bleeding it, every time I would fill that little bottle, I would go top off the master cylinder. You don't want that to run dry, because then you'll introduce air into the entire system. Then you'll have to bleed your ABS module and everything, which is a real pain. So you want to keep up on topping that master cylinder off. Also, once you see no more air bubbles coming out of any of the calipers, your pedal should feel nice and stiff. If you still feel sponginess in the pedal, you still got air in the system somewhere, continue bleeding. So now the only thing I got to do is throw the wheels back on, get it off the jack stands, and we should be done. I've said this in other videos, and I'll continue to say it in videos. Torque your lug nuts. No ugga duggas. Torque your lug nuts. And just like that, another successful brake job in the books. I'm getting ready to wrap this video up here, guys, but I want to say a couple things first. This is not meant to be a how-to video. I'm not a mechanic. I only play one on TV. Get it? Because it's YouTube? Just kidding. But no, this is just meant for entertainment purposes. But if you did get something out of the video, drop me a comment, let me know. So guys, I like doing videos like this to try and encourage people, especially young people out there, to try and tackle something like this themselves. Maybe I'm not necessarily starting with brakes, because like the first time I ever did a brake job, I did it with a mechanic friend of mine so I could be taught the correct way to do it and, you know, learn from someone who had experience. But I've been wrenching on stuff since high school. I love doing it. And I just feel like there's not enough young people who have the interest or the motivation to do so anymore. So I hope that when I do videos like this, it encourages people to want to do stuff like this. I feel like too much of this is going to the wayside and people just take their stuff to a shop and have it done and pay out the wazoo to have it done. So with that being said, I want to take a moment to thank my son, because he was the one in there working the brake pedal, pumping it and holding it for me while I bled the system. So thank you. And I also like to take a moment to give a shout out to a couple of my viewers. You guys have never missed a video and you've been here since the beginning. So Mick and Ellie, thanks for the support. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. To the rest of my viewers, I also really appreciate the support. It means a lot that you guys take the time to watch my videos. I hope you find them entertaining. I do my best. And if there's any of you out there watching who haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. That way you never miss anything. I'm always working on something, and I have some more good videos in store coming up, like part 2 of my trailer video. I've been working hard on that. Weather's been fighting me on that one though. But guys, do all that YouTube stuff. Like it, share it, subscribe it, whatever. All that good stuff. Helps out the channel, helps me out, and I appreciate it. But till then, I'll catch you on the next one.